with.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like that's why, like, it's important when you do meet someone that you don't ask like surface level questions, because
Mm-hmm.
like there's this show called like Love is Blind on Netflix, and they had a season where there was like some Christians on the show and some weren't, and like how the show works is after a good 3 weeks you either marry someone or you just leave. So
You can
or you
move your mic just a little.
like right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, I won't say married, but you're engaged to be married. And at the end of the show, you either get married or you don't. So there was a couple where she's a Christian, but the person that she's engaged to isn't a Christian, and she still went through with it. And then they started to recognize the issues that were coming with one being different than the other, because at first they're like, oh, well, what's the big difference, like it's not that serious. And he, in his mind, he's like, well, she's a Christian but not really. And then in her mind she's like, oh, I can change him. And
Oh
it's like,
gosh.
and I think that mindset
Gosh,
is
Josh.
not not good to have. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, if people would not ask surface level questions when meeting someone, and we ask those real questions, then I feel like you'll get the answer that you need, and it's up to you if you're going to move forward or not. And if you do, I don't feel like you have anybody else to blame, but it sucks that some people in their mind feel like I can change this person, because that never works out, especially if you're saying I'm going to change this person to be Christian. Like, that's never going to change. That's not
Yeah.
happening.
Fooling yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're not like dying on the hill of what your standards are. You're not fully persuaded in your morals and your standards. It's like, wait a minute. You said you're a Christian. Like,
Mm-hmm.
are you for real about it? Because if you're gonna live your life as an atheist, just you're an atheist then.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, don't call yourself a Christian if you don't spend any time speaking to God. Like, not to throw like shade on anybody. Like, you can believe in God, but and you
Mm-hmm.
know you probably had some experiences, but it's like, if you're gonna live your whole life like God doesn't exist, and I don't mean you have to do it the same way I do. Like, that goes into being equally yoked. Like, if I'm a person that goes out and ministers and I'm talking to people, like, everybody's not required to go out on the streets and hold a mic out and, hey, have you heard of the gospel?
Yeah.
Everybody's not meant to do that, right? But so I would never say that somebody's not a Christian because they're not witnessing in that way. But you don't say anything about God ever, like, or you just say God when it's convenient, so you look like a Christian. Say, wait a minute, like, do you pray? Do you read His Word at all? Like, if you don't believe that the Word is God's Word, like, do you not read it to find out?
Mm.
Like, do you want to know the truth? Things like that. Like, seeking the truth is very important. Like, I always think, like, and this is a part of, being equally yoked, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
like, certain questions I have, the person that's for me is going to have to be okay with, you know, kind of diving into some of those questions with me.
Yeah.
And if they're not, then that's your answer right there already.
Yeah.
Especially, if they get uncomfortable, they're like, oh, why are you asking these questions? Have a good day. Like, literally,
Yeah,
because that's your answer.
yeah. So how do you feel like when it comes to seeking God the way that you do? Um, have there ever been other people that's like, oh, you know what? Nah. Even as a friend, it's like, I can't even really be friends with you. We can't have a intimate relationship, period, because I can't even talk about God the way that I need to around you.
Well, the Bible does talk about knowing who you can talk about God to and knowing who not. It does talk about that. So honestly, it's on you to discern from your friends, because you know them enough. You know them enough to discern who you can say, "Hey, let's go, let's talk about God" or something like that, and do something with. It's honestly like up to you and your discernment to know who you can talk about God to and who you can't. Like, for instance, I know some of my friends, I'm not even gonna mention God, because that's they're so far left that it will only it will only hurt, you know. And then with a friend that I know I can pull closer to God, it's like I'm I'm pressing, I'm pressing. Hey, hey, like he can be far left too. But I know from discernment that he's able to get pulled from. Like God is speaking to me like, okay, this is somebody that you can have come to me. Like
Yeah.
that's what
What do
yeah.
you what do you think of when you think of like a friend? Like, cause I know like that term is just kind of used sometimes. Like, oh yeah, this girl is my friend, but
Hmm.
it's like she ain't really a homie.
Yeah.
So it's like friend has different weights. Holds different weights. So it could be like a coworker friend, but it's like we ain't really been through nothing. Like, like I'm not gonna talk to you outside of work because we not that cool.
Yeah.
So when you say friend, like, do you mean like, yo, you got some I don't know what to call it, but you got some homies that you super close with that you're like, yeah, they not ready to hear this God conversation.
Yeah. Basically, I would call a friend somebody you can hang with unconditionally, just with
No
even
strings
if
attached.
if you on and off the clock, like you can hang with this person. And some of my friends, I won't even call them my friends because I don't necessarily have friends.
Okay, yeah.
I have people that I'm like attached to like by blood, like my cousins. Like I grew up around my cousins, so they all I would consider my friends or my brothers, people who I went to school with since a baby and then brought up. So it's like either my brothers or my cousins. But then would be people that I honestly like I would honestly be comfortable with talking to God with them because I know they in and outs and I know that they can be persuaded. Like I've seen they background in and out. Now when it comes to my coworker, for instance, my coworker and he it's like he's my coworker. He hasn't became like friend coworker, but if you talk to him about God, it's like that's more so gonna ruin a relationship or like your career or something like that. It's like I don't know.
Or like make
Hey,
it awkward. Well,
nah, like I'm trying to.
It's
So,
been interesting. I mean, I don't know the exact place you're going, but
well, I would say okay, okay.
I
I'm
always
just I'm
feel
beating around the
the
bush. Let me just let you know. So
yeah.
I had this coworker because he's not my coworker no more, and he was